Hello everyone, I am Salima Siwani, moderator of today's International Symposium. On the behalf of Global Forum for Teacher Educators, I warmly welcome you all. Our first speaker is Dr. Diana. She has been involved in academia for over 35 years as a science teacher, adjunct professor, and owner of a science education consulting company. She is passionate about hands-on, minds-on, inquiry-based teaching and learning, STEM, and transforming teaching and learning for 21st century learners. Over the past 25 years, Diana has conducted hundreds of teacher training workshops, conference presentations, and keynotes throughout the world, reaching thousands of educators. Diana strives to assure that each individual who attends her sessions will leave inspired, enlightened, empowered, and transformed. Now I would like to request Muni Musa to have a few words. Thank you.
Hello everyone. I warmly welcome you all. I am Dr. Munir, Volunteer Director of Global Forum for Teacher Educators. On the behalf of Global Forum for Teacher Educators, I warmly welcome all of you, particularly our first keynote speaker, Dr. Diana. Thank you so much for accepting my invitation. It is indeed an honor for us to have you on board. Dr. Diana will be talking about fostering social emotional learning through STEAM education during early years of education. Over to you, Dr. Diana.
Thank you so much for all of you for being here today. I hope this finds you all well in health and spirit. And I am excited to be the first keynote speaker today. And I'm going to go to some slides here. And my goal here today is to make this interactive keynote so that you can be actually engaged and empowered by the message. And I have a few materials that I would love for you to have on hand. And probably most of you are watching from home right now, some Legos, building blocks, ruler, a journal, tape measures. Those type materials would be great to have on hand. And in the Facebook area, how many of you have those materials? You can put yes for me so I have an idea. And thanks again for being here today. I'm so excited. Wonderful. Now, the moderator did a great job of introducing me. I just want to spend about 10 seconds or so telling you a little bit about myself. I was raised in Southeast Asia, Bangkok, Thailand, Vientiane, Laos. I've lived in many other countries throughout my 60 plus years I've been on the planet. About 25, 30 years ago, I established a consulting company. So I travel the nation and the world conducting hands-on, minds-on, inquiry-based professional staff development for teachers of all grade levels. I also conduct interactive keynotes. What I do want you to know is that I still go into classrooms conducting science and STEM programs for students of all ages. So I'm more than a theorist. I'm actually in the trenches with all of you. My contact information is over here on the right. And you'll see that again at the end of the presentation. And once again, thank you all so very much for taking the time to be here today. So we are here today to explore how we can foster social emotional learning skills through STEAM experiences and practices. And it's going to be at the early learning level. However, basically the information could be applied to all ages of children. So this is a very pertinent topic because for the last 4 or 5 months, children have been isolated from their peers, from their teachers. They've become just within their own family. And we've heard countless stories of how children's social emotional learning skills have been negatively impacted by COVID-19. So one of my goals here today is to allow you to have the opportunity to see how we can incorporate STEAM experiences to nurture social emotional learning skills in children, and really children of all ages. So what I would like to do now that you know a little bit about Dr. Diana is I would like to, in the Facebook comment section, if you could, those of you that are here, is just take a couple minutes to let us know what grade you teach. Are you an administrator, or maybe you're here as a parent? How many of you are familiar with social emotional learning skills? Are you familiar with STEAM practices and content? And how many of you have incorporated STEAM learning experiences within your own classrooms? And Dr. Diana wants to clarify something. I never use the word activity. STEAM is about very deep investigations, and activities are more teacher-driven. We're kind of guiding the students to a particular end project and goal, and STEAM is very different than that. So when we say learning experiences, we're talking about what you would probably call activities, but we're going to find out today the difference. So share in the Facebook comment section, and at some point I hope to get some idea of where you're all coming from here today. So thank you so much. So social emotional learning, what is it? It's the process through which children and adults acquire and effectively apply the knowledge, attitudes, and skills necessary to understand and manage solutions, set and achieve positive goals. And I'm seeing right now that I did not share my screen, which we need to do. There we go. had a little bit of a technical glitch. I'm so sorry. I did not share my screen throughout this whole process. So we're going to hold on and hopefully that will work. Beautiful, super. Social emotional learning, we have 5 core competencies of social emotional learning. We have self-management, self-awareness, responsible decision-making, relationship skills, and social awareness. So those are the 5 core competencies of social emotional learning. So we're here today to explore how STEAM can be used to nurture social emotional learning skills. And so what does STEAM stand for? STEAM stands for science, technology, engineering, art, and math. And I have 5 pictures up here that represent one lesson, one content, one concept area that can beautifully be tied together. So the first photo here is a picture of a tree ring. The second, a magnifying lens. The third, child engineering with wood blocks. The fourth is a tree ring art project. And the fifth is a structure that the student has built out of wood, and they're using a tape measure or ruler to measure their structure. So we have the science, the technology, the engineering, art, and math that are beautifully woven together within one lesson. And this is what STEAM is all about. Now, at the bottom of the slide, I have a picture of a young girl holding 2 puzzle pieces. And in the Facebook comment section, why do you think Dr. Diana has placed the 2 puzzle pieces at the bottom of that slide? What do those puzzle pieces represent with best practices in STEAM education? Let's see your comments in the Facebook. And I'm going to try to see, I'm working on another laptop. What does that mean? Beautiful. What do we see there? Okay, so the puzzle pieces on your screen right here, when you go back to your classroom, what that represents is a quality STEAM learning experience is going to show the students that science, technology, engineering, and art and math are integrated. They're interconnected. So within your lesson, you don't want to be teaching science on one day, technology one day, engineering the next. The students are going to see them beautifully woven together. So I hope that you're seeing the connection, the alignment with social emotional learning, as well as our STEAM. What is our goal in STEAM education? Beautiful. So when we teach STEAM, a best practice is to teach STEAM via what we call inquiry-based practices. And this really would be a whole nother training session for about 5 days. But in a nutshell, what inquiry-based practices are, it's allowing the student to be the inquirer, the discoverer, the explorer. The teacher is acting as a facilitator. And this is a best practice of STEAM. And so when we allow children to be engaged and empowered in their learning experience, that helps to nurture their social emotional learning skills. So what I have up here is a 5E lesson plan. We have one photo that hasn't really been uploaded properly, but we first engage the child. So the child is looking at plants, and this whole lesson would be about plants. They then use a tool to explore the plants. And the students are working in small groups to find out everything they can about plants. The next stage of inquiry is where we explain to our peers and the teacher, what did we learn throughout the process? The next level is extend. And extend is where a lot of teachers like to incorporate the engineering design process. So if we've learned all about plants, a nice extend part of the lesson would be where the students would grow plants where they could build a terrarium, an aquarium, a greenhouse. And last stage is we evaluate. We try to avoid paper pencil. We want to be evaluating students authentically. So looking at projects, looking at how students, how they work collaboratively together in their groups as they undertake their engineering design challenges. So inquiry provides opportunities to nurture social emotional learning skills. So look at the pictures there that are in front of you. What do you see taking place in these pictures? Is there a lot of engagement? Are the students empowered? Do you see social emotional learning skills being actively nurtured? Let's see in the chat box there. What do you see taking place? There's a little bit of a delay there. What do you see taking place in there? So we have students who are working with tools. When you're working with water and glass or plastic, the students have to be aware of their surroundings. They have to make the best choices. We have students working together as teams, so they're learning about collaboration. We have students touching something really messy called oobleck. This will allow them to get over their fears of wanting to touch things that are messy. And a lot of young children have issues with being in dirt and mud. I think what it really is, their parents don't want to have them getting dirty. So maybe the issues actually are with their parents. So again, inquiry provides opportunities for children to have their social emotional learning skills be nurtured. So a best practice of STEAM is to have your lessons and your learning experiences be student-driven versus teacher-driven. So when lessons are student-driven as opposed to teacher-driven, so the students get to be engaged, they're active, they're empowered, they're working together with their peers. They're having to communicate. They're having to make the right choices. They're having to develop empathy. So think about as you go back to your classrooms, whenever that may be, or you're presenting your virtual lessons, what may you need to do different in order for your learning experiences to be student-driven versus teacher-driven? And that's truly going to allow children to have their social emotional learning skills be nurtured. And you can think about that beautiful cooperation, hand on knowledge, beautiful. I love that we have people sharing in the Facebook comment section. I want to engage the audience today, so please be sharing. Thank you so very much. So one of the big misconceptions with STEAM education is the technology component. The T in STEAM stands for technology. So in the Facebook comment section, I want you to write down, what do you consider technology to be? Right now in the comment section, what do you consider technology to be? What are examples of technology? And Dr. Diane is going to wait a few seconds to see the comments. What do you consider to be forms of technology? So when I travel the world, one of the things that I'm finding is many of the schools worldwide, they're using excessive amounts of screen technology. And this is a serious problem these days because as adults, we're constantly looking at our phones. And what is happening is when we are looking at our phones, we are not communicating with others around us orally, and we're in isolation. We are self-absorbed. What's even worse is when we are introducing young children to digital technology, they become isolated. They're no longer communicating with their peers or their teachers or each other, and they want that instant gratification. So the idea is when we're dealing with young children to help their social emotional learning skills, we want to be incorporating these type of tools more than our screen-based tools. So that's going to be a key takeaway for you today. So what are some examples of technology? Adding microscopes, magnifying lenses, a simple tool such as a level. So in your block center, you can incorporate the level as the children are building their structures. They can be looking to see, are their structures level? We can also incorporate rulers. We can incorporate tape measures. So these are the type tools we're talking about to incorporate within your classroom. Beautiful gadgets, super beautiful. And down here at the bottom, if you want to introduce your young children to coding, introduce them to coding via screen-free gadgets. And if you have a question about what screen-free gadgets are, you can ask that question in the comments section or visit my Facebook business page. But there are many screen-free gadgets out there that can introduce young children to the principal foundation of coding, which is patterns. So in STEAM education, we have what's called the 21st century skills, and those are the hard skills. In our social emotional learning, we have what we call the soft skills, you know, the empathy and the awareness, the social awareness, the cultural awareness, management of our time. But businesses and universities are saying that they really value those social skills, those soft skills. But in STEAM education, it is the 4 C's. And those 4 C's are critical thinking, creativity, communication, and collaboration. So when you are presenting your virtual lessons due to COVID, or you return back to your classrooms in person, you want to think, is my lesson truly allowing the child to develop and nurture their 21st century skills, as well as their social emotional learning skills? So how many of you in the Facebook chat area, do you need to go back and revise your lessons? Now that we're in this session today, do you think you have some work to do? Even though you're the best teacher in the world, do you still have some work to do? What do you think in the chat section there? You can add your comments. So here I have a diagram of what we call the 21st century skills and our social emotional skills here. So think of these as being our hard skills. Think of these being as our soft skills. So our 21st century skills and our social emotional learning skills. So at the top, we have communication, critical thinking, creativity, collaboration, and the remainder of these skills are our soft skills, which the social emotional learning does a great job at developing and nurturing these skills. So I truly think probably one of the most important tasks of a teacher, educator, administrator, parent is to keep the curiosity alive. When children enter kindergarten, their curiosity is squelched. So what can you do as a teacher to keep the curiosity alive? Throughout history, our top geniuses, our architects, our mathematicians, our artists, they've all said, a quote they've all said, I'm not any better or smarter than the person next to me. I am just more curious and I'm more driven. So what do you need to do as an educator to keep the curiosity alive in your young children? If the children lose their curiosity when they're in preschool or kindergarten, it's going to be very difficult to bring that back out. So in the chat box, how can we keep that curiosity alive? What do we need to be doing? So with STEAM, we develop resourcefulness, we develop adaptation, imagination, open-mindedness, grit, and perseverance. So I'd like to look at the open-mindedness. So how many of you have a piece of clay in front of you, a piece of clay or Play-Doh in front of you? I asked you to have some clay or Play-Doh in front of you. How many of you have that in front of you? How many of you have clay or Play-Doh? I want you to have that in front of you, and I want you just to manipulate. And it's very, very important to think about growth mindset as you attend today's sessions and tomorrow. Even though you're a phenomenal teacher and you're doing a great job, what do you have to do? Are there any growth mindsets you can change? What do you need to do differently that will allow the children to have a top learning experience, to allow their 21st century skills to grow, to allow their social emotional learning skills to grow? So think about that Play-Doh, that clay, manipulate that, keep that by your side as you go to your classroom each day. What is the growth mindset you need to have, but also your children? How can you allow your children's growth mindset, to become open-minded. And lastly, grit and perseverance. STEAM does an excellent job at showing children that it's okay to fail. It's not so much about developing a beautiful product or getting 100% on a test. It's about allowing the children to see that it's okay to fail. They're engineering, they're doing lots of trial and error. So we're teaching the children about grit and perseverance. And this is a skill that is lacking in today's young children, and not just young children, but our millennials as well. We have to find ways to develop that grit and perseverance in our children of all ages, and even yourselves during COVID-19 pandemic. So what we have here in front is we have the engineering design process. And what I want you to do right now, all of you that are in attendance today, and thank you so much, is I want you to look at this diagram. And what do you see as being different with the engineering design process and what you recall of the scientific method? What are some differences and what are some similarities? And I want you just to share in our chat box, what do you see as being different with engineering design process and the social and our scientific method? So share in the chat box with us. I want to see what you visualize there. Okay, beautiful. So the engineering design process is a cycle. So what that means is students are going to be able to go back and forth, around and around. And in STEAM, we're always having students work together. They're not working on their own. And so what that means is that students are going to have the opportunity to manage their time. They're going to have the opportunity to communicate and collaborate. So those are 21st century skills, and those are social emotional learning skills. So first we ask a question, we imagine, we plan, then we create, we improve. Now I'm going to stay here for just a moment. This is a very important component of our engineering design process. So what does improve mean? It means as an educator, we want the students to see that it's okay to change up your materials. It may take 100 times for that boat to float. So the children are learning that it's okay to fail, and they're learning more that it's more about the journey as opposed to that end beautiful product. So it's the journey for you that are out there. So keep that in mind. That's very important. Lastly, the students will communicate their solution. What did they learn through the engineering design process? They will share that with their peers and the teachers. So there's the engineering design process for you. And a best practice is to incorporate that within your STEAM learning experiences. If the students are not engineering, they are not involved in an authentic STEAM learning experience. So one of the key best practices of STEAM is to allow children to touch materials. That means you want them to be able to touch everything that they would be building with, whether it's rocks, wood, cardboard, plastic. So if you ask your students, you say, I want you to build a structure out of cardboard. I want you to build a structure out of cardboard. The first thing you want to do is allow your children to actually touch cardboard. They want to see what happens if we subject the cardboard to water. What happens if we step on the cardboard? Can water penetrate the cardboard? Allow them to touch as many different materials as possible. If I was to give a student, if I was to say, you're going to build a home that's going to be in the rainforest and it rains every day. If we build the house out of cardboard, what do we need to put on top of it so that the water won't penetrate through the cardboard? So again, giving the students the opportunity to touch as many materials as possible before they actually engineer. So engineering design challenges help children feel empowered, they create confidence, they build perseverance, they build relationship skills, they allow children to be active participants engaged in their own learning. So these are directly related to social emotional learning skills. So I'm hoping that you can see how by incorporating STEAM learning experiences within your classroom, you will be nurturing your social emotional learning skills within the students. So at the early learning childhood level, you want to be able to incorporate engineering design challenges as often as possible. And with that, you would be incorporating things that are from within your classroom, things that you have readily available, things that aren't going to cost a great deal of money. So give them building challenges such as building Legos, building the tallest structure with wood blocks, with foam blocks, building with other type building materials. So today, I asked you to have some Legos or building blocks. So how many of you have Legos or building blocks with you at this time? How many of you have Legos or building blocks at this time? Because we're not going to take too much time because we have such a short time together. But what I want you to do is if you have Legos or building blocks, I want you to spend the next couple minutes and I want you to build the tallest tower you can within the next few minutes. And what Dr. Diana would like you to do is I want you to, when you're done building your structure, is I want you to take a picture of your structure and I want you to upload it to the Global Forum page and share a picture of the structure you built, and then also tell us how many centimeters or inches your structure was. So as you're a teacher and you're in the classroom and you're giving the students a challenge where they are going to be building the tallest structure with Legos or building blocks, there's some key things you want to be looking for. And that is when the students begin their structure, are they going to start their tallest structure with a narrow block, or are they going to pick a block that has more surface area? So obviously the block with the more surface area, the greater surface area, we're going to be able to build a taller structure. So the idea today is what I want you to do when you leave the session, build the tallest structure you can within 5 minutes, and I want you to upload it to our Global Forum page, and we're going to share the structures that we built today. You could also actually undertake this with your own children at home today or your students in virtual lessons. So this will allow you to get an experience of the engineering design process. Another excellent engineering design challenge is to use pipe cleaners. So pipe cleaners are probably readily available wherever whatever country you're from, but basically you give students 15 pipe cleaners and they're working in small groups. And the idea is that they build the tallest freestanding structure within about a half-hour time. And notice the structure that I have built here today. And it's got a triangle for its base, which is going to allow it to be a very strong structure. And you can see some structures that have been built by students. So it's very important as you undertake engineering design challenges with students that you incorporate the science, the technology, the engineering, art, and math. It's not just the engineering component. So here we have a student using the technology, we have the geometry incorporated here. And what do you see when you look at the Eiffel Tower here? If you look at the Eiffel Tower, what is the geometric shapes that are interlocking? What are the shapes that make that Eiffel Tower exceptionally strong? You should see that it's interlocking triangles. And then here again on our geodesic dome, our sphere, we have interlocking triangles, tessellations that form a very unique structure. Now, a great engineering design challenge to introduce young children to that will allow their social emotional learning skills to be nurtured is to study buildings from around the world. So they're going to learn about geography and culture, and you're going to have the children build objects, these landmarks, from readily available materials. So you're going to be using things like cardboard, you're going to use paper straws, you're going to use plastic, you're going to use building blocks, you're going to use Legos. and the students are going to incorporate the engineering design process. This is what we call real world connections, and that's a best practice of STEAM education, and it will allow your children to become culturally aware as well. Another great STEAM challenge is to have your students study cultures from around the world and where they live. What are the homes like? So maybe your students are living in homes that are made of cement, but there might be other cultures that their homes are made of straw and mud, or maybe they're temporary homes. And when we have monsoons, their homes are washed away. Have your students replicate these structures, and it will also allow the students to develop empathy for others around them. So as you can see, that will help to develop 21st century skills as well as social emotional learning skills. So one of my favorite engineering design challenges is to introduce students to tinkering and deconstructing gadgets. And what that is, it's a matter of you asking your parents to donate gadgets, electronic gadgets and toys that are broken. These gadgets and toys will be brought back into the classroom where students will analyze them. Look at all the shapes, look at all the colors, look at the buttons. And then students will be able to actually use a tool to deconstruct the toy or gadget. So when we look inside this gadget, look at all the things that are within that. Look at the components. And to me, this is one of the most powerful STEAM learning experiences you could ever introduce students to of any age. And this is great because it can be done at home and it can be done at school. And if you are teaching virtually, you can do this lesson virtual as well, because I have done it with teachers already and students. So a very affordable engineering design challenge to introduce your students is to building with cardboard. And all you're going to do is provide students with cardboard, tape, scissors, glue, and they're going to be able to construct. Maybe you're going to give them a challenge, build a bridge, build a mast, build the tallest tower out of cardboard, or they may be able to choose whatever they would like to build. So cardboard challenges are a global phenomenon, and it basically came about because of this young boy here, Kane Arcade from Los Angeles. So look at all these exciting structures that students can build using basically cardboard and tape and scissors, and they're going to be working in groups. And I know we have people from all over the world, so we have what we call the Global Cardboard Challenge. Beautiful. I hope you're still empowered. So as you incorporate your STEAM-based learning experience, you want to be on the lookout for books that incorporate STEAM themes, but also social emotional learning themes. So this is a book called Jabari Jumps, and it's about a young boy from Africa that's so afraid to dive off the diving board. And he has other fears too, but eventually he learns to overcome his fears. After the Fall, all about Humpty Dumpty, which is a global fairy tale. Humpty Dumpty has to learn to get back up and pull up his bootstraps. So this is about getting up after you've failed. So many books are out there in the market now that are STEAM-based, but are also incorporating social, emotional learning themes. So these books are available from Amazon, but what's really exciting is many of these books are available on YouTube as read aloud. So if you go to visit YouTube, just enter in the book name and you'll probably find many of these books as read alouds, especially during the COVID pandemic. Many of the publishers have allowed their books to be read online. So here's some pictures of students incorporating STEAM learning experiences within the classroom, and also bringing STEAM outside of the classroom to your schoolyard and within outside in your backyard. And again, we see the cooperation, we see the collaboration, awareness of our time management, developing the skills of empathy. All of these experiences, the STEAM learning experiences, if done effectively in a quality experience, will allow the children to develop their 21st century skills as well as their social emotional learning skills. So what I'd like to do, because we're almost at the end of our session here, is we are going to, Dr. Diana would like for you to share in the comment section, what are your key takeaways from today's keynote? And also, have there been any transformations? When you think about that Play-Doh today, how are you, were you able to have any growth mindset today? Any growth mindset from attending this session? What do you need to do differently when you are presenting your virtual lessons? What do you need to do differently when you go back to your classroom on Monday? So if you could share that with us in the Facebook chat window, that would be excellent. And also, if there's any pertinent questions. And lastly, I'm going to leave this slide up, so maybe you can take a screenshot of this slide. But these are all the ways that you can contact Dr. Diana. My website is up at the top. I have my Facebook business page, LinkedIn, Twitter, and here's my email. And I truly hope that you were engaged and empowered from our session today. Unfortunately, my laptop, my video is getting hung up, so I'm not able to actually see all the different comments here. So I'm trying to get it to work. Hopefully, you on your end, it's okay. So can we have some questions and answers? I'm hoping this will come up here. Beautiful. Again, if I could have you take pictures of the structures that you built, if you take pictures with your Lego structures or your building blocks, what were you able to build within 3 minutes, and post those up to the Global Forum page? That would be excellent to do if you post your designs up there, and also with the cardboard that you have. So today, my challenge is for you is with your own children at home, give them the challenge of building the tallest structure they can with Legos or building blocks or anything you have available within a short amount of time. Have them measure their structure and draw their structure, and also work with cardboard. Perhaps have your children or your students build something with cardboard. So do we have any questions? And should I stop my screen share here? I'll stop my screen share so that I can see. Okay, beautiful, beautiful, super, beautiful. Okay, excellent, beautiful, super. Okay. So with that being said, I think we have our next keynote speaker who is ready to be sharing with us. And I hope that you were engaged and empowered throughout our session today, and see how we can incorporate STEAM learning experience to foster social emotional learning skills within our students. So please do, if you have any more questions, if you could ask them on the Facebook Global Forum page, and Dr. Diana sometime later today will get back to that. And good luck, Dr. Jennifer, with your presentation. So thank you so much, Global Forum teacher educators, for inviting me here today, and thank all of you, and stay well in health and spirit.
So thank you very much, Dr. Diana, for a thought-provoking presentation. Your presentation was informative and innovative. We truly appreciate your time and efforts. We hope to continue professional association with you. Thank you so much, Dr. Diana.
You're welcome.
We will begin in next 2 minutes.
Welcome once again. Our second speaker is Jennifer Hancock. She is the author of several best-selling and award-winning books and is the founder of Humanist Learning Systems. Not only was she raised as a humanist, but she is also considered one of the top speakers and writers in the world of humanism society. Her professional background is varied, including leadership positions in both the for-profit and non-profit sectors. What makes her unique is that she teaches humanistic approaches grounded in dignity and compassion, coupled with science-based behavioral modification techniques to create positive workplace cultures that eliminate unwanted behaviors like bullying, harassment, and discrimination while positively reinforcing the behaviors you do want. Now I would like to request Munir Musa to have few words. Thank you.
Hello, Dr. Jennifer Hancock. Thank you so much for accepting my invitation. Jennifer Hancock has a strong association with Global Forum for Teacher Educators, and this is the third time she accepted my invitation. Jennifer will throw light on integrating ethics in the classroom, and over to you, Jennifer.
Hello, everyone. First, let me clarify, I do not have a PhD. I'm not a doctor. I have a bachelor's degree. I just have a lot of interesting experiences. So let me share my screen and bring up my presentation. All right. All right, everyone. So I'm Jennifer Hancock. I am the founder of Humanist Learning Systems. I am on the board of the International Humanistic Management Association's USA board, and I sit on a couple of other boards as well. Today, I want to talk about how to integrate ethics into the classroom. Now, first, I want to give you an important caveat, and that is that I am not a classroom teacher. I teach online personal and professional development programs. And when I'm teaching something, people are hiring me explicitly to teach them about humanism and humanistic approaches. So basically I'm taught to teach people ethics. So it's embedded in everything I do. So what I want to do today is give you 3 different methods I use to introduce and talk about ethics in a classroom in a way that makes it accessible to everybody, regardless of their ethical or philosophic or religious background. Ethics can be quite challenging, and I think that's why a lot of teachers stay away from it, but it doesn't have to be. And so I'm going to teach you how I do it, basically. And then I'm going to provide you some resources on places you can go to get philosophic ethical texts that are relevant to wherever you are in the world. It always helps if you can bring in something that's native to your culture as the ethical foundation that you're going to explore. All right. So the first technique that I use is that I witness as opposed to proselytizing. Ethics are often thought of as a prescription on how to lead a good life. And so it can be very much, it can be taught as this is how you should do it. This is how you should think. And that approach to teaching ethics is very proselytizing, and no one likes it. Like if you came to me and asked me for help and I said, well, this is what you should be doing, you would feel talked down to. And this is the same with everybody of every age. So the alternate way to approach this is to do what we call witnessing, which is if you came to me and said, Jennifer, I'm dealing with a bully, how should I deal with this? And instead of me telling you how you should handle it, I said, well, this is how I have dealt with this in the past. Here's how some other people have dealt with this in the past. And this is what the science is, that's why they did it this way works. You're going to immediately feel a lot more engaged, because instead of talking down to you, I'm inviting you in to share with my knowledge about how I do things. I'm not dictating to you how you should do things. I am simply sharing with you how I do things and inviting you to compare and contrast how you might do that. The core value here with witnessing is freedom of belief, is to acknowledge that all of your students have the right to their own thoughts, their own ethical value system, and their own belief system. And that's perfectly okay. The goal of this technique is to share and invite comparison. So if someone came to me and said, well, how do you live a good life? I would say, well, okay, I'm a humanist and this is how I do it. I'm not telling you you should be a humanist. I'm telling you I'm a humanist and this is how I do it. And as soon as I start going into the details of this, everyone is automatically going to be thinking, how is this the same and how is it different from how I approach things? And what might I learn from this? And that's a very opening and welcoming way to talk about it without dictating how someone should be. All right. The second technique I use is Socratic questioning. And the core value here is critical thinking. When I'm teaching, I don't have an expectation of where the student is going to use my information or what they're going to do with it. My goal is to get them to think about their own thinking. And I do that by asking questions. All right. So questions in the classroom might be about what is good or bad, and encourage discussion on that. As soon as you're asking what is good and what is bad and why is this good and why is this bad, you're encouraging critical thinking about ethics, because ethics is about what is good and what is bad. You don't have to bring in a specific value system. You can allow the students to think for themselves about that and, explore their own thinking about why something is good or bad. And with Socratic questioning, the goal is not to lead people to a certain conclusion. It's to let them think through the problems for themselves, let them define good for themselves, but ask questions to challenge their thinking and say, well, why is that? And if you feel that they're missing a piece of information, because everybody has a limited set of information, then you can say, well, what about this other thing? Not to not to be critical of them, but to just encourage them to consider an additional piece of information that they might not have thought about before. But the goal is critical thinking and to encourage them to think. And if we go back to the previous slide, that's the same thing that I was doing with witnessing, right? I was inviting them to compare themselves to how I do things, or if I'm telling a story, and this is the value of humanities education, there are stories about what it is to be human and how people persevered through difficult situations. And as we read or learn these stories, we're comparing ourselves. What would I have done in a similar situation? And this is the heart of all ethical thinking and ethical reasoning. I don't need people to agree with me. If someone reads my book or listens to me talk and says, I don't agree with this at all, I feel like I've done my job as their teacher. Because if they're thinking for themselves and they've been clarified their thinking or their value system in some way, then I have accomplished my job of helping them to think about their ethics. All right. So when we go back to Socratic questioning, we're doing the exact same thing. We're encouraging them to think ethically for themselves, and not to lead them through this, but to allow them to do this. And this technique is very effective. There's a reason it's been around for a couple thousand years is because it works to encourage thinking and allow people to think through the various things they might not have thought about if they were doing just a very cursory, well, this is good and this is bad. A lot of one of the problems of being human is that we tend to think of things in black and white. It's either good or it's bad. And in the real world, things are sometimes sort of good and sort of bad simultaneously. And to think through those problems, we have to be willing to consider additional information and integrate them. One of my favorite movies is an Indian movie called Fana. And the great line towards the end is morality is not about choosing between good and bad. It's about choosing the better of good options and the lesser of two evils. And that's what we want to help people think through is to get them out of black and white, good and bad, and into the nuance that is true ethical thinking. And you do that with Socratic questioning. The third technique I use is that I encourage compassion and dignity in the thinking and in interpersonal relationships. And again, the core values here are compassion and dignity. The goal is individual growth and learning. And I do this in a variety of ways. First, I do my best to model dignity when I'm talking to people and when I'm educating people. And that's one of the reasons why when I'm teaching ethics, I witness as opposed to proselytizing. But it's also it's how I handle myself, but it's also how I interact with other people with dignity and with compassion. My concern is for people's well-being. And the term well and the term good are inherently ethical terms. And not everybody defines good the same way. Not everybody defines well the same way. But by bringing these topics up as in part of the Socratic questioning, I can help insert that as one of the metrics that an individual should be concerned about. So if you're doing a finance class, like a business finance class, you could ask Socratic questions that integrate these concerns for human rights, for compassion, for well-being, for flourishing into the conversation. You could do this in a science class as well. Why would we use this information? How is it used? Does it help people or hurt people? And those questions, those Socratic questions, help people really think nuancedly about what it is they're learning. The main thing is to make it okay for people to disagree and to model civil, dignified discussion as opposed to argumentation. So from a Socratic viewpoint, the goal of having a conversation and a discussion is to learn from each other. The goal of an argument is usually to win. And if we help people learn how to have discussions so that they can learn, we're doing a tremendous service for society and for the furtherance of knowledge. One of the main things I think about when I'm doing education is that it's not up to me what my student does with the information I'm giving them and the education that I'm giving them. My job is to plant the seeds of compassion and dignity, of critical thinking, of ethical thought. And where they go with that is up to them. It's not up to me, it's up to them. All I can do is plant the seed and encourage them to nurture those seeds, but whether they do or not and where they go with that is entirely up to them. And that requires me to step back and view the other person as a whole human being, my student as a whole human being, with compassion and dignity and the right to do this for themselves. So does this approach to teaching ethics work for any topic outside of ethics? And the answer is yes. One of the common complaints in the business schools, for example, is that ethics is its own class. Right? You have an ethics class where you're taught about philosophy and ethics, and it's not integrated into any of the other topics. But the reality is everything has a moral component to it. Because at the end of the day, why are we learning things? Well, because that knowledge is useful. Well, useful is a moral metric. How do we define what is useful? So let me give you an example of using this approach to ethics in a chemistry class at any level, right? So one of the questions that can be asked is, why were these things researched in the first place? What was the problem that people were having that led them to whatever this discovery is that you're talking about? Well, those questions are historical questions. And history is a humanity and therefore a humanist activity, because it's helping us think about what we're doing in the present as tied to a continuum of human activity. It helps us connect to other people in history that we're learning the same things they are. And what are their problems versus what are our problems? Here's that compare and contrast that I was talking about. The next thing is what was found. Well, that's the knowledge, right? What is it that was found out by the science knowledge? If you're telling people a story about other people and what problems they were trying to solve and what was found, often that knowledge of what was found is retained better if it's in the context of the ethical dilemma that led to the discovery. And then we can bring that knowledge to the present and say, how are we using this information now to improve people's lives? And again, That's an ethical question. What does it mean to improve people's lives? What is good and what is bad? That's an ethical conversation, but it also is encouraging your students to look at this knowledge as a tool to make things better. And it's activating their compassion and responsibility, because as soon as you say, how do we improve people's lives? You're activating compassion and responsibility, which are common universal human values. The result of this is very deep learning for the students that go through, that are exposed to whatever the topic is, with this kind of humanistic approach to thinking about whatever it is. So let's talk about salt, sodium chloride. Why are humans perpetually concerned about salt, right? What is the problem we're trying to solve? Well, the science on that is really interesting, right? We don't create our own salt. We can't live without salt, and we have to ingest it. Otherwise, our bodies don't function well. And that's fascinating, right? So what was the problem people were trying to solve when they figured out what this was? And then you can talk about you're talking about molecules, you're talking about atoms, you're talking about how those interact in water. There's all sorts of bits of knowledge that come attached to salt. And then, well, why does this information matter to us now? And how can we use this information to improve people's lives? Well, I have low salt problems. I don't have, like, my doctor has instructed me to eat more salt because I have low salt problems. And if I don't get enough salt, I tend to faint, right? So sports drinks that have salts in them really help my life. Like, they make it possible that I can walk around and not faint, right? And what I just did was witness to you, right? I told you something about myself. And you can do this for any topic. You give me any topic, I can put you through this framework. What was going on? What were the problems that people were trying to solve? Why was this information important? What is the information, and what have we learned? And then how is this information being used to improve people's lives? That's two parts of ethics: what problem was being trying to solve, and how do we make people's lives better with this? And then the knowledge that you're trying to impart as the core body of knowledge is embedded in the middle of that. And the result is deep learning. So what are the resources you can use to integrate ethics into your classroom, whatever the topic is? Well, the first resource that I want to share with you is humanistictexts.org. And I will be posting these slides up at SlideShare probably early next week, maybe today. Depends on how much time I have. But the thing I like about humanistic texts is it pulls together humanistic thought, written thought, through the course of human history that we have written thought for. And it's from all over the world. So if you want text from the golden age of Islam, they're there. If you're in Japan and you need text from Japanese or Chinese authors from, the 800s, it's there. You want Socratic thought from, or Greek thought from BCE, it's there. It's a really great resource that can help you bring these values and this thought into whatever culture you're from, right? So if you're in an Arabic speaking world or an Islamic country, you can get, humanistic values from this website that are going to be relevant to your students and help them learn something about their own history, while also helping them to think about this. And a lot of these texts from history, we would call these people Renaissance men and women of their time, because they were scientists, they were philosophers, they were poets. They did a whole bunch of different things and learned a whole bunch of different things and helped push society forward with that. So humanistic text is one of my favorite resources. If you're looking for ethical values, you can find them, like I teach humanism, right? So I get my list of values from, like, the American Humanist Association, which is what this wheel is, the 10 commitments that, show a list of values. The International Humanistic Ethical Union. You can use religious texts. You can use philosophy texts. You can use a list of value from just about anywhere. Most value systems are pretty common amongst all humans everywhere on the world. And the goal of introducing these values is actually to encourage people to think, do I agree with this or not? Not the proselytizing, you need to agree with this. But here's what another person thinks is a value. What do you think about it? Do you agree or disagree, and why? Right? That's an ethical conversation. It's not an answer to the question of ethics. It's about how you think about them. And then I also have a huge amount of resources and books on my websites. I have a bunch of videos, large and smalls, that can be used. But really anything from anywhere can be used to start these conversations about what is good and what is valuable, and how do we use this information to make life better for everyone. I just want to leave you with two other resources, because I know this is an international group, and I'm a humanist educator, so here we go. There's the International Humanistic Ethical Union is now called Humanist International. They have a website with a variety of resources, and they can be very country specific as well. And then one of my friends runs a group called Ideas Beyond Borders, and I've got the link to it there. They partner with people to translate works into Arabic, Farsi, Kurdish, so that people can have access to topics on a variety of things, from civil rights to healthcare and things like that. So questions and thoughts, and I'm going to stop sharing because I cannot see the chat room unless I stop sharing. So great. Any questions? Okay. And Munir, I'm not sure if I can see everything because I'm not up on the Facebook page. So.
Okay, Jennifer, what best you can do, you can look at the comments later on, and
Okay.
you can answer the queries on our Facebook page. Okay?
Perfect.
So once again, Jennifer, from the bottom of my heart, I would like to thank you for accepting the invitation. What a wonderful presentation. And above all, I have attended so many presentations, but you have been the most inspirational person in our lives. So on the behalf of all the participants, thank you once again. And I hope to have a strong association with you in the near future as well. Thank you so much.
Can I answer a couple of the questions that I see coming up? So one of the questions is, doesn't religion define ethics for most people? And the answer is yes, of course it does. And you can use that as your basis if you want, and you can compare and contrast and with other things. And that's all good. There's humanist ethics are common human ethics. So wherever you are, whatever ethics system you're using probably is shared by other people. And I do encourage using local resources. That's why I recommended using humanistictexts.org because it can help you identify traditions that you may not have been aware of that come from your area. So, all right. Is there anything else you need from me, Munir?
Okay, thank you so much.
All right. Bye, everyone.
Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you. Okay, bye.
Welcome once again. Our third speaker is Dr. Munir. He holds a PhD in education with a concentration in human rights education. He has 8 years of teaching experience at the university level and 4 years of research experience. He is also the founding volunteer director of Global Forum for Teacher Educators. He is the recipient of the Commonwealth UK Scholarship, the George Eckert Summer Fellowship, and also served a visiting academic scholar at Humboldt University of Berlin and the University of California, Berkeley. He pioneered a course on human rights education for teachers, proposed Munir's permeable networking model, and Munir's digital learning taxonomy of learning. He is the first Asian who introduced the concept of socio-counseling for learners and socio-eco-ethical model of social work. Let us welcome Dr. Munir.
Hello, everyone. I hope you all are doing well. Well, it's been around like 1 hour, 15 minutes that you are attending our symposium, and it's my last presentation for today's. I hope that you will enjoy the last session. So let us begin. So I'm excited to talk about teachers' identity, a very pertinent topic for your personal and professional growth. So, the very first question which I would like you to answer is, why are you here? What brought you to our forum today? Please use the comment section to share your viewpoints in the next 30 seconds. I'm waiting. Okay, thank you so much for sharing your viewpoints. Well, to be honest, we all are here for a purpose. Some of you have joined either to gain knowledge or for the participation, but maybe few of us are here because of some other reasons. For example, you want to gain a certificate, or you want to mark your presence, or to get future opportunities, or maybe to make personal connections. Am I right? Now, that's completely fine. Sometimes in our life, especially if you are a teacher and if you are teaching anywhere, it's normal that we resist to give an honest reply or fabricate our views to gain affiliation or to get connected with colleagues or because we have fear of losing the connection with the people. And that's why we try to fabricate our identities. And that's true. But don't worry, that's fine. After all, we all are human. But to be honest, let me tell you one thing. It takes time to understand the situation, accept the realities, and to get courage to speak openly. Now, if you are expressive and have logic and rationale behind your views, your colleagues might not accept your views, or maybe they will accept. But the most important thing is to stand by your opinion only when you think that you are correct. And if not, I would suggest you to accept your mistake and improve yourself. And there is no harm to accept your mistake. That will not make you a small person at all. So now, Elizabeth Newton in 1980s at the Stanford University conducted one experiment that's called tapping experiment. It was also called tappers and listener experiment. So the tappers were given a list of well-known songs, and each one of them was asked to pick a song and tap the rhythm like this. The listener's job was to listen the song, and based on the rhythm, they have to guess it. So let us try the same experiment right now. I request the audience to listen to the tapping carefully, and in case you guess it correctly, write your views in the comment section. In case you can't guess, don't worry. Write whatever comes in your mind. Okay? So now I will tap a tune for you and you have to guess. Any guesses? Anyone? So I can see that very few of you have guessed, but most of you didn't guess it right. Now, let me give you a hint. The tune is linked to a celebration. Let me show you that. It is related to celebration. Any guesses? Any guesses? Okay. Uh-huh. Now, let me tell you one reality that's very important for you to understand. I will now play the tune for you. And just think if you can recall it now. I'm playing a song for you, okay? I request Miss Salima if she can mute her mic because it's difficult for me to listen. Thank you so much. Okay. I do have a mic as well. Let me sing. Hey, to you, happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear ABC. Happy birthday to you. Oh, thank you so much. Thank you so much for participating. So, before the listeners guess the song, Elizabeth Newton asked the tapper to predict the ratio of the listeners who would guess it correctly. They predicted 50%, but that was not true. Initially, only a few could guess it correctly. Attempt. Well, I was wrong because that was my assumption. When I tapped, I was hearing the song in my head. I knew it was a happy birthday song. Meanwhile, you as an audience could not hear the tune in your head. All you heard was a bunch of disconnected taps. But when I gave you a hint, it was a bit easier for few of you to guess it correct. But still, most of you could not guess, and doesn't matter for that. I hope you like this activity. But why we did this activity, let me tell you the reason. The message behind is that we get from the experiment is that we should not judge other people directly. Look in which we regularly conceive. You know why? Because we always feel pleasing to share our positive side of identity. No, not understand your colleagues, your principal, your students, your teachers, everyone. So you have to work on again and again to understand yourself. Predicting that ABC child is intelligent or weak is not a correct thing. Or if you guess that your colleague is jealous of you is not a right way. It is in human nature that we often think that we are the most experienced person than others. We know that other people really well, but that's not true all the time. You can't judge anyone until you judge yourself. It's fine that you have expectation from your students, from the teachers, but that's the first step. You have to explore your identity as a teacher and as a human. If you will go for it, definitely that will really help you to explore your identity. So another message is that we all have stories. It's not about that we don't have stories in our lives. We try to conceal it because we feel maybe shame, because we feel that if we will share our stories with other people, maybe people will taunt us, or what other people will think about it, us. But my suggestion is, why not to unfold your stories, unfold your myth? Why are you looking at the negativity of other people? Why are you taunting and backbiting other people? Just try to unfold your own myth and mysteries, and eventually you will gain confidence, and for sure you will be more improved person. So when we talk about identity, it's a very interesting topic. Let me tell you, I have done an extensive research into this area, and here we are only covering few of the aspects, not all. So identity is a person's concept of who they really are. And let me tell you the reality. As I have conducted so many researches, I found out that we are who we really not are, and we carries multiple identities. So when we talk about identities, it means that who we are, what sort of people we are, and how we link ourselves with others. If you look at my definition, I personally feel that it is a continuous process of building relationship with yourself. You love your family, you love your children, you love your students, you love your colleagues, but do you love yourself? And if you say yes, you love yourself, you have to rethink, you have to revisit, and you have to identify whether you are trying to conceal something or whether you are true. So that is the most important thing for you. So we all have different identities, like social identity. We are connecting with other people in our daily lives. We have our religious identity. We have our gender identity. Obviously, we are connected with our family members, with our relatives, with other people out. So this tree is just giving you the denotion of what we are linked with. But can you see the bottom of the tree? It's personal identity, yourself. Often we work on building the relationship with friends, with family members, with students, with teachers, even with the principals of the school, because we want to have good relation. Now that's fine, that's fine. But don't you think so that you are not giving privilege to your own self? Don't you think so that you are not looking at your identity, what values you possess? So the first thing is that you have to look at your values. Are you doing all these things just to please others, or you are doing it because it is the part of your personality? So it's natural that we carry multiple identities. Like when I'm teaching in a university, I'm an assistant professor. When I'm at the Global Forum for Teacher Educators, I'm a volunteer director. When I'm meeting my friends, I'm their friends. In the same way, when I'm meeting any unknown person, I'm an unknown person to them. So we all carry multiple identities, and we need to identify where we exist. Okay, so let us move towards the next slide. So again, I would like to emphasize that we cannot refute that social and relational identity is our need. We cannot leave our friends. Obviously, we cannot leave our family members. We cannot deny this fact that we have to have good relation with our principal at the school, at the workplace, with our colleagues. That's fine. But where are we placing our dignity, our values, our hopes? Are we trying to relate it with others? Is it true that we are more connected to our social and relational identity than ourselves? Sometimes it happens, but I would say most of the time, to be honest, that we often forget who we really are and what we really want from our lives as a teacher. Identity invites you to love yourself, embrace your identity, embrace your strength and weakness. And before moving towards others, it's always better to identify your strength and weakness as well. We often identify its strength and we feel rejoice about it. But what about our weakness? If I share my weakness with other people, I don't feel shy anymore because that is the part of my personality that is making me more stronger. So it might sound selfish that I'm sharing it with you that you have to express yourself, you have to think about yourself. But I'm not sharing that you don't have to think about others. You have to think about others as well. But no one can love you more than yourself. That's true. Nobody will love you more than yourself, to be honest, at the end of the day. So if you will look at this diagram, you will find that we often give more value to society, culture, institutional, and interpersonal identity, and we often give less time to our own self. I personally believe that if we will tilt this diagram and place individual identity at first, that would really work to help you. So now, I want to ask you a simple question. Who are you? For example, I'm a teacher, or I'm a human, or I'm a mother, or I'm a father. Whatever comes in your mind, just use the chat box and write your comment. I'm waiting for it. I'm giving you 30 seconds to write your comments. And I hope you're enjoying. Let me see your comments as well. So, who you are. Okay, perfect. I want few more comments. Who you are. Okay, I'm a teacher. That's great. I'm a mother. That's fine. I am a human. Somebody wrote, I am a human. I am a mother. I'm a father. I am a teacher. Any other identity which you possess. I'm a human being at first. Okay, I'm a better version of yesterday's me, a dispenser of knowledge of my learners. I'm a teacher, mother, sister, guider. It's a multiple identity. We are diverse, right? So thank you so much for participation. But to be honest, your identity is more than whatever you have mentioned. You wrote whatever was embossed in your mind since from the last many years. But deep down within ourselves, we are missing something. And you know what is that? That is our true identity. Because we are so packed in worldly matter that we often spend time with our own self to actually explore who we really are. We are spending more time with our social identity and with our relational connectivity. So, personal identity is all about moral beliefs and self values. And my experiences and the researches which I have conducted suggest that identity develops over time and it evolves gradually. Sometimes gradually, sometimes drastically. It depends on what direction you have in your lives. Identity is actually it's basically helping you to look into your own selves. It helps to build resilience. Now, let me tell you the reality. Once you start exploring your identity, to be honest, it will gradually help you to step ahead in your life and understand the layers of identities that we often put to please others, to inspire others. So let me share you a real example. When I conducted a detailed training session with my students and I invited them to write an essay on who am I, can you believe that what one of the students wrote? Let me share it with you. Wow, inspirational, so true. I am a bird whose wings are under the control of my parents. I can't fly high, and I know that soon I will be bargained. It's a real narrative of one of the Pakistani female learners when I was conducting my research study during 2017. Isn't it a real denotion of our identity? So once you try to explore more and more, and once you try to gain the confidence to share your identity with others, maybe you will be able to write the essay like this. But it depends on you whether you want to share these things with other or not. It depends on you. But I personally hold this viewpoint as a teacher. You should share. What people will do? Will they laugh at you? Will they mock you? Doesn't matter. You are you. If you value yourself, eventually everyone will respect you, everyone will give you value. We all have hopes, desires, expectations, wishes, even fears. I have lots of fears. I am fear of lizards. I can't place myself into a closed place. I have a phobia. That's fine. If I'm disclosing, that's fine. And above all, we all commit mistakes in our life. But are we prepared to express all these? That is a point to ponder. And I believe, I trust that you all will definitely get this confidence in the near future. So now, teaching identity, it stands at the core of teaching profession. Teachers must negotiate at least three of the identities. If you look at the slide, you will find that your identity is based on your personal and your professional beliefs. Your personal identity means your social relation, your social identity, your relational identity, your religious identity, your cultural identity, and many other things. And when we talk about your professional beliefs, it is how much salary do I want from my profession? How do I want my relation with my principals, with my students, and many other things. And one more thing which is very important is your image of self in a professional life. Never ever mix your personal life with the professional life. But if you personally believe that you have an inspirational story to share it with your students and with the other teachers, go for it. In the field of education, it's called action research. If you will conduct action research in your life, generally, eventually, you will be able to progress. It's very important, again, professional identity of teachers is also about what do you want to become? Everyone wants to be a principal or you want to be a head teacher. That's fine. That's your identity. There is no shame to disclose that. And how to act, work, react, and understand the situation. And the last thing is very important, how you negotiate through your experiences. We all have experiences, I admit that, but sometimes, as the reality, I would like to share it with you. Sometimes we become arrogant. We feel that we have lots of experience, we know more than other people should listen to us. Yes, that's fine, but try to understand other people out as well. You don't know what is going on in the mind of other people. Whatever I'm thinking, you don't know. Psychology says nobody can predict whatever is coming in the mind. Even you can't predict what is there in the mind of your son, your father, your husband, your wife. Nobody can predict that. So how could you say that your experience is the best experience? Maybe it is, but be neutral. Try to understand other people out, and then negotiate through your experience. That will really help you out. So when we are talking about teachers' identity, so many things are there which we want. As I mentioned, that you want good salary, you have to take your career decision. Maybe you have to shift from one job to another. That's fine. There is no shame to go for that. You need recognition. All the teachers need recognition. Now, recognition comes in the form of money, in the form of appreciation. That depends on your values, your participation, how much skills you have. Let me share you one real example. I met few of the teachers a few days ago, and they told me that they have completed the diploma, they have lots of certifications, they have done their master's degree, their PhD degrees, and they have lots of skills. I asked them a simple question. I asked them, can you design a PowerPoint slides which can be used by visually impaired, means blind people? Can you design a slide which can be used by hard to hear person? Can you design a slide which can be accessed by a person sitting on a wheelchair? They replied no. So my answer was, although they had degree, they have lots of certification, but they lacked digital literacy. Now there is a difference between skills and literacy. If you are gaining skills in using MS Word or any other software, that's fine, that's good, but that's the beginning. Digital literacy means you have to make a blur boundary between acquisition and participation. You have to participate. You should know how to use the simple software in a more innovative way. So all these things which are written over here are very much important part of your identity. But I personally feel that your values and ethics, your respect, your competencies, and your self-concept should be at the forefront. We often give values to good salaries, career decision. We want perks, we want commitment, we want recognition. But I personally hold this viewpoint that you should first give value and ethics to your own values. You should identify your competencies. If you have weakness, just bridge the gap. If you will share it with other people out, if you don't want to share, it doesn't matter. But if you will share, I don't think so that will make you a poor teacher. I have gradually learned so many things, so I think so you can also move ahead. And respect comes at first, like you have to respect yourself. Please do not compromise your identity for the sake of your job. Many a times teachers are in depression or they are facing mental health issue. They are facing all these things because of one thing, because they are not respecting their own identity. So if I ask you another question now, said, how can you describe your teaching identity in one word? Can you use the discussion box and write that so that I can see how do you define your teaching identity only in one word? That's a challenge. Let me give you 30 seconds for that and let me check. Just one word for your teaching identity. Okay. Respect, passion, that's great. Okay, be yourself. Love, again, love. Happiness, your identity is happiness. But unfortunately, the research suggests that most of the teachers are facing internal problems. It may be because of the personal problems of their lives, or maybe they are facing the problem at their workplace because of the pressures and because of so many other things. Until and unless you love your profession, it's not possible to move ahead. And until and unless you respect your identity, you will not be able to move ahead. Yeah, I can see student friendly, friendly teacher, heart touching, mutual understanding. But thank you so much for sharing all these words. Let us move ahead. So the comments which you have shared with me, I personally feel that these are still inward looking comments. You are looking at the self image. Still, you have to dive into your own self. You have to explore your teaching identity, and you have to explore your personal identity. That's fine that whatever you have written, I appreciate these things, the words which you have mentioned. But I personally hold this viewpoint that you need to sit quietly. You need to take time to understand what you really want from your profession, because I think that sometimes we express but we lack sense of wider community. That happens. So, why it's important for the teachers to explore their identity? These are my own viewpoints that if you know about your identity, you will be able to differentiate between your personal and professional identity. There's a researcher, Annie Spart. She said a beautiful word. She said that there is a blur boundary between AM and PM. AM means acquisition metaphor and PM means participation metaphor. Now, it's the older things that people used to say we should not share our personal identity in our professional life. I don't believe in that. There should be a blur boundary. If you think you have an inspirational story, if you think that you have something which can help other people out, like I always share the story of my family with my students about the violence which I have faced in my life, that's fine. If it is related to the topic, and if you feel that will help other people out to improve the identity. So it's very important that if you know about your identity, you will be able to positionate your personal and professional identity. You will become more empowered. You will be having more compassion towards your profession. Now, so many of you are into the field of teaching because of some different reasons. Maybe you are in this profession because you wanted to be in this profession, but maybe you are in this profession because of some reason, because your family wanted to you to be a teacher or somewhat like that. So embrace your profession. If you really think that you are into this profession because of some reasons and it is like affecting your mental health, think. Don't try to listen to other people and compromise your identity. That is the best thing. Remember, I told you you have to value yourself. But if you are really into this profession and you love your profession, then it's very important for you to understand your beliefs, your ideologies, and above all, your biasness. We all have biasness, but we tend to conceal all these things. Try to show your biasness to other people out. There is no shame in that. And the above all thing is that you have to respect your dignity. That's the best thing. Now, you maybe you have a good qualification, maybe you have good experience. Like I have completed my PhD in education with a concentration in education. I've done my master's from the Open University UK. I have done fellowship from University of California. That does not make me the best teacher. I can't claim myself the best teacher just on the basis of my degree. That's the foolish thing if I will say this thing. Experience, again, it's important thing. I'm not refuting this fact that you should not go for the qualification. You should go for the qualification, but please don't have intellectual vanity. Don't try to feel a lot of proudness that you are the best. No, I'm still not the best person. I'm a learner. Again, the experience is important. If you have 10 years of experience or 20 years of experience, that's fine. Try to help other people out with their experience rather than claiming again and again, I'm better than you. I have more experience. You are wrong. It's not the right way. That's not the identity of a good teacher. Now, good salary everyone wants, and there is no shame in claiming that. We all need a good salary. But sometimes what we do, we try to ask for more than we are performing. You know why? Because we have not yet explored our teaching identity. That's very difficult for us. So it's very important to explore your identity. And again, good personality is also very important. Now, let me share you one reality. Like right now, I'm not wearing a tie. I'm not wearing a coat. Does that mean that I'm an illiterate person? Does that mean that I don't know anything? No. But in this field, people assume that If you will not wear a coat, if you will not wear a tie, you are not a professional. I personally feel that it is you who makes your environment. If you are good enough, if you have experience, if you are competent, and if you are humble enough, people will recognize you. They will not recognize you with the help of your shirt or all these things. Yeah, you have to dress good. You have to look good. That's your self identity. But that you will decide. Now, if I will go to any conference, obviously I will wear a suit. I used to wear suit. That's fine. But if I'm not comfortable, I will not wear because that is my identity. Right now, I'm not feeling comfortable wearing a suit and I feel proud of that. So, good personality comes with so many things. You have to decide. If you feel that you have to wear a suit or you have to wear a lipstick, go for it. Don't feel shy. I'm just sharing you the part of my personality. So, a good personality does not only means you have to look good, it also means that you really feel good internally. And you have to empower and motivate others, but first you have to empower yourself. And you should have good relations with others. But I hold this viewpoint that you should have a cordial relation with yourself. What are your goals? What are your wishes? Go for all these things: good qualification, experience, good salary. There is no shame in claiming that you want all these things. We are human. I also chased all these things in life, and that's why I completed my PhD in all these things. But what I missed one thing. I missed cordial relation with myself. I faced mental stress for the last so many years. You know why? Because I was chasing good salary, more experience. I wanted other people to love me, to respect me. I wanted to have good qualification. Rubbish. You should go for it. I'm not saying you should not. But first begin with these things which I forgot. And now I'm trying to make up all these things. Now I'm trying to make up my own goals. Now I'm trying to make up my own values. Now I'm trying to make my own goals. I have my own values. And eventually I can connect both the things. Now, if I will connect both the things, there is no shame to have good qualification, good experience. That is very much good if you are connecting all these things. So, I think that personal professional identity is ongoing. You can't sit today, you can't ask your principal or teacher to assess myself. Not possible. Now, it happens in the professional workplace that your head teachers come and they assess you. They use some rubrics and all that forms. That's fine. But if you really want to improve your professional identity, it's very important to understand that it is an unending continuum. It will never end. You have to reflect back regularly. If not regularly, at least weekly. Try to sit, try to understand what good thing you did, what were the things which you can improve, and share it with other people out. We try to hide all these things because we believe that people will think we are weak. From my experiences, I feel that now I have started sharing all these things and I feel no shame because I feel that it is empowering me more. It is making me more proficient. So it will take time, doesn't matter. If you feel that you are not convenient now, leave it. At least try to write reflective diary. Try to improve yourself, okay? Now I have a very interesting activity. I'm not sure it will work on the screen or not, but I really want to share that activity with you all. Let me try if I can. I hope you all are enjoying. I hope you all are learning something. Are you learning something? In the meantime, you can comment. I'm sorry, I have weak eyesight. See, I am reflecting my identity, and that's why I'm coming closer to the camera and I'm looking horrible. Doesn't matter. But I love myself. I'm respecting myself. So now, can you see something? Yeah, you can see something on the screen. It's a wonderful game I have designed for you. What I will do, I will open the box, but you have to I will open the box and there will be one question. What you'll have to do, you just have to write yes or no in the comment box. It is related to your self identity. Let us begin. Let us try. Salima, can you see the screen? Thank you. Okay, let me see the chat box as well. Okay, let me open box number. Oh wow. Let me open box number 9. I am a good motivator. Are you a good motivator? Yes or no? Just write yes or no. I'm just looking at your comments as well. Are you a good motivator? Okay, thank you. Another question. Let me open box number 9. I love my profession. Do you love your profession? Let me see. Yes, wonderful. Let us open the last box, okay? Hmm, which box number should I open? I think number 1. Hmm, I spend more time with others than with myself. Be honest. It's a very tricky question. For me, it's a big yes. But now I'm trying to improve myself. Do you spend more time with others than yourself? Let me see. Uh-huh. Okay. So thank you so much for participating in the activity. So let us now move towards the slides once again. Um, just give me a minute. Yes, here we go. Can you see the slides? Okay. So now look at this picture. It is a drawing by a child. It is a sugar and spice and 8 years old girl views of her teacher. Now, when you will ask your students to draw yourself, maybe you will not like this activity, but being a researcher, drawing activity is one of the most inspirational way through which you can understand what students think really about themselves, about their parents, and about their teachers. Throughout the world, researchers are using drawing as a method to identify these things. So this is a drawing extracted from one of the books, and it's a very positive drawing. And let us move towards the next drawing now. Okay, just look at this horrible picture. Oh my God. It's a dragon lady with breast, an 8 years old boy view of his teacher. Now, you can't blame the students if they are drawing you as a horrible person. I do remember when I was in grade 8, I used to make such pictures for my teachers. You know why students have these portraits imposed in their mind? Because of some reasons. If you are a good teacher, it does not mean that you have to give more marks to the students, you have to please your students. Rather, you have to negotiate your identity. You have to be positive, you have to understand your students. So, now coming to the last few slides, how you can explore your identity. There are so many ways. There is a researcher, Wenger. He believed that you can explore your identity by engaging in professional communities. By professional communities, it means that you have to be the part of different forums. Like there are so many forums available on Facebook, there are different organizations. You should participate in these forums. For example, there is a group of Global Forum for Teacher Educators. In this way, sometimes if we will try to show you the mirror, if we will try to criticize you, that does not mean that you are wrong. These things will really help you to improve. So the first step is that you have to participate, you have to interact, and you have to engage in the professional community. Second thing which is very important is to know, believe, and think. You have to understand, you have to trust your own will. That's very important thing. Alignment is very important thing. What are your goals? How will you align your personal life with the professional life? That is a very important thing. Now, imagination is very important thing. If I'm imagining that I will become a professor in the future, if I will imagine that I will become the best researcher in the world, that's fine. Imagination helps you to grow. It helps you to flourish yourself, and there is no harm to imagine about different things. The other thing is to accept everything, your strength, your weakness, both things are very important for you. Do not compromise your self esteem. It happens that we have to compromise our self esteem because of the parents or because of the teachers or because of the principal. I personally feel that negotiation is the neutral word. We should negotiate, but don't compromise. Negotiation is fine, but never compromise. And always have a mutual and cordial relations with other. That's the very, very important thing. Now, I want to share my model. I have designed a model for you, and I want to show you something interesting. If you can look at this model, you will find so many things. So, the best approach is to first understand yourself, what you want from your life and surrounding. That is the first thing as a teacher. Try to understand yourself. Again, I'm repeating what you really want from your life and surrounding. Sit alone in a quiet place. Spend time with yourself. I know it's very difficult. It's very difficult for me how I'm managing all these things that I know. So you can spend your time with yourself by going into a park or somewhere other places. But after COVID-19, for sure, try to explore your identity. Sit quietly. Don't go with other people and try to identify yourself. What are your strengths? What are your values? After that, identify like your values and boundaries, and then go for your strength, but also identify the gaps. If you feel you have weakness, note down. If you don't want to share with others, doesn't matter. Keep it with you. Then the next step is identify the insecurities. Like maybe you don't have professional education, or maybe you lack professional development courses, or maybe you lack communication skills, or maybe your thoughts, feelings, behavior are disorganized. That's fine, accept it, embrace your identity. Then the very important step, identify toxic people in your life. Very important thing. I'm trying to identify toxic people. I'm removing them from Facebook, from WhatsApp, from my personal life. I don't want to be fake people. I think so these people make you more depressed. These people affect your mental health. So it's very important that after all these steps, you have to go and see the toxic peoples, then what you really want from your life. And now in this phase, you have to look at both personal life challenges and professional life challenges. How you look at yourself, how you look at your professional identity. If you look at the slides at the last 3 or 4 bullets, you will find that once you try to identify your teaching identity, you need to identify the nature of your job. What job are you doing? How are you doing that job? Then you have to assess your skills. If you have weakness, doesn't matter. Still, I'm doing many courses. I have to bridge the gaps and adjust your identity. That's very important thing. And above all, you have to work for your well-being. And now, very important thing. In this model, one thing is very important. It is a continuous model. It's not about that if you identify yourself, you will feel that it's completed. Now I can move towards the next step. It's not like that. It's about this thing. This is the diagrammatical structure of my model. You have to negotiate everything. It's in a circle. You have to negotiate it with your personal identity, with your professional identity. You have to interconnect it. It's not about that you will bring your grievance at your workplace. It's not about that. It's all about to understand yourself and then to understand your teaching identity. It's also very important that once you are working at any institution, at any workplace, you have to respect your institution. You have to respect your principal. You have to respect your headmistress and all the people who are working as an administrative. Be flexible, understand them as well. Try to face the reality. There is an age difference as well, experience, and sometimes it happens that we have grudges and we feel that our subordinates are not coordinating with us. That's fine. Learn as a learner. Your life is as a learner. The more gradually you will move, the more success you will get. There is a quotation: to reach the highest, always start with the lowest. And if you'll go for that, you will definitely improve yourself. I have few tips for you. I hope these tips will definitely help you. These are the few. I have so many tips, but I think so there is a short of time. Am I right, Miss Salima? We have a short of time. So we will go only for few of the tips. First thing, which is very important, accept yourself, respect yourself. Try to reflect yourself every day or every week. You can note down in the diary or you can have an audio diary, whatever you love. Be a long life learner. After completion of your graduation or post graduation or your PhD degree, you will not become the professional person. Be a lifelong learner. Things are changing in this field. You have to keep yourself updated. So be a lifelong learner. Autonomy is very important. Respect yourself, be yourself, and work for your well-being. Again, it's very important. You have to have good relation with yourself and with your colleagues as well. You have to maintain self-esteem and commitment. Again, you have to express yourself. Share your grievance. If you feel that your subordinates, your principal, your heads are not working with you, they are not understanding you, maybe it's difficult for you to share these things. But if you have good communication skills, you can try to share it in a positive way rather than sharing it with your colleagues. Don't backbite. Don't backbite. It is better to share it in a neutral way. Avoid professional jealousy. It will not give you anything in your life. It will not give you nothing. If I am a teacher, I know myself. I know how I will move ahead in my life. So what's the jealousy? If my seniors are more seniors than me, I have to respect. But if I will become a jealous person, I think so, I will drown myself. Don't do this thing. And if you need a help, don't feel shy. You are a teacher, you are a learner. If you have less qualification, even if you have a qualification, if you want to learn, ask for the help and heal relationship. If you have a fight with your subordinate or with your teachers, heal the relations. Try to compromise. Don't wait for other people to come to you, okay? And accept your weakness. Very important thing. This is the most important thing. Rather bite yourself. You know why? Like this. Ah, if you bite yourself, it does not mean you have to bite yourself in a real sense. It means to come in the consciousness. Try to understand the reality. Sometimes we are in the subconscious state. So rather backbiting and commenting about others, try to understand yourself, be in the professional development, build a true relationship, and we have lots of tips. Trust your experience, that's very important. And last few things, avoid gossips and rumors. Don't go for it. It will not give you anything. Yeah, we are human. We love gossips. I also love gossips. But at the workplace, it's not a good thing. And build professional relationship. Now, professional relationship does not mean that you will take the help of other people and you will kick them out. No, it's a two-way mutual communication. You have to help them, they will also help you. So it's a mutual thing. You have to share your skills with others if you know. If you know something new, share with others. Even if they are not asking you, try to share with them. And last few things which are important before moving towards this slide. One thing I want to share with you all. You know why arguments happen in a life, in the life of a teacher? It happens because we resist accepting or respecting others' viewpoint or tend to incline towards others' matter. Competition in this profession is fine, but work on improving self then others. Be your own competition, that's fine. I never look at others. If they are progressing or what, that's fine. In the same way, you should move ahead. I know some of you may be living in a rigid social system, but you can't remain mentally healthy unless you are autonomous in taking the decisions in your life and profession. Individuality is not about me, no. Strongly socially connected is the main thing. It is better to put yourself at last and value your head at first. Rather taking a mutual decision, it's better teachers should work for your well-being, and it is the best thing. Now, last slide which I would like to share it with you is this train. Very interesting train. Now I can sit at the back because I have a eyesight issue. I lost my sunglasses, so just look at the right side. Just feel that the train is moving on the right side, right lane. Okay? Now try to look at the left side and think that the train is moving at the left side. Just try. Just try. Just look at the right. You will feel that the train will move at the right. Then you will look at the left. You will feel that the train will look at the left. Just try. I'm giving you just 30 seconds for it. Can you see? Can you feel that if you think on the right side the train is moving, you will feel that it is really moving on the right side. But if you feel it's moving on the left, it is like that. So it is on you, my dear colleagues. It is you who makes your environment. It is very important. The message which I want to give with the help of this picture, with the help of this GIF, is that it's all in your thinking. You can change your fortune as a teacher or you can break it. You need to control your life as a teacher. If you don't, then people will control you. Love yourself and bye bye. Thank you so much.